things. And it really got me thinking about parenting, Sheikh Hassan, and how we parent. And how we see a lot of these modern concepts of parenting these days. So for me, parenting is a balance. And, as parents out there, we're all trying to figure it out because, we were parented by our parents, some things that they did very well, alhamdulillah, and other things that maybe, they were trying to figure it out as well too. So, mistakes were always made here or there. And then we have our children and we're trying to figure out, well, how do we parent these kids? So for me, the model that I have is really based on Asma'ullah al-Husna, is Jalal and Jamal. A balance is that I'm very gentle with them and I'm very, what's the word I should be looking for? I don't want to use the word stern, but I'm very to the point and trying to ensure that they're growing at the same time. There's boundaries in terms of our interactions, especially Sheikh Hassan. I'm trying to raise 4 boys. Yeah. Right. Which is, you have children and you have
4
boys.
men.
Yeah, into men, and we want to raise them into men. And so, Ameen, Ya Rabbi. And so that means, Sheikh Hassan, that we're responsible for their spiritual growth. We're responsible for their intellectual growth. We're responsible for their physical growth, and we're responsible for their emotional growth, all sort of wrapped in together. And so for me, it's ensuring that I have my hands in the soil and the mud as they're growing and becoming into men. And I wanted to bring an article to you, and we can discuss this in the realm of parenting, about something I see these days called, what is it called? Hold on. It's called gentle parenting.
Yeah.
This concept of gentle parenting. And I'm going to bring this up, and I'm just going to read this because even though this is sort of like a Dear Abby sort of thing, what is this on Slate? This is from 2023. But I think what this man says here summarizes the challenges of people in parenting. So he's sending this message. He says, my friends Dan and Sarah are doing some kind of gentle parenting with their 4-year-old. This would not be my business, except that due to getting laid off, they will be living with me. I know that's not a great plan, but they're out of options. So fine, people can live with them. Anyways, I was at a barbecue where their kid bolted into the road, and they didn't even say anything about that being dangerous. They just caught him and redirected him. He did this twice more throughout the night. He signals he's done eating by dropping his food on the floor and pouring out his drink. They just say nothing and clean it up. He wipes his hands and face on the cat. And they clean it off. Most bizarre of all, he will just walk out of the house and they will smile, well, he says sheepishly, and go walk with him to wherever he wants to go, usually just a couple of blocks. My parents were on the opposite side of the spectrum. I don't think they should be yelling at him, but why not calmly say, hey, we don't drop food on the floor, and hand him a few paper towels until he gets tired of it. So, parenting, Sheikh Hassan, how to parent and what we're saying. Some thoughts and discussions that you and I can have about this.
Wallahi, may Allah Ta'ala protect your boys, and may Allah Ta'ala bless them, and may Allah Ta'ala make you see the best in them. May Allah Ta'ala make them a beautiful extension and continuation to your khair and the khair of your spouse and your khair of your parents and her parents as well, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. May them, inshallah, the coolness of your eye and the joy of your heart, and all the children of Muslims and all the brothers and sisters who are seeing this, and all the Muslims. Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen, Allahumma ameen. This is the topic that never gets old, because it's about life. It's about us. It's about our duties, about our duties towards our progenies, our duties towards our ancestors. We are the interlink. We are the link. We are the link that parents. Part of what we are is that we are custodians of memories, custodians of traditions, and we part of our job is to convey that tradition in the most beautiful way, and to convey it the way it reached that intact and beautiful. None of us went to the university and got a PhD in parenting. You figure it out as you go. The first school that you go to parenting is your parents' place, and may Allah Ta'ala reward our parents. May Allah Ta'ala elevate them. May Allah Ta'ala grant them the best. They figured it out the way they did with the circumstances that they lived. My parents, my mom did her best. She has 8 kids to raise. My dad had to work for those 8 kids to feed them, to care about them, to teach them. So they lived certain circumstances that limited the way that directed their parenting towards certain style and so on. But 8 of those people, all of them, succeeded, and they're all good, and they are believers, and they are alhamdulillah, great, right? And my mom is an illiterate woman. And yes, my dad was an imam, and he was doing a lot of khair and so on and so forth. But most of the time, he's not there. He's out, trying to work so he can. He's an imam, but he also does work so he can bring food to the table. So it's and so on. Your parents, the Mu'tasim, first generation immigrants to America, trying to figure out how is it going to be for them after the trauma of being out of their country, out of Palestine, and so on and so forth, living all of those circumstances, coming with all of that. And so is the situation for a lot of people like this. So how do we figure it out? How do we, there's guidance in the prophetic way of doing things. The idea that one has to be, calling it gentle, is a lot of times these banners that people put on the way they parent is it takes a discussion gentle. Does gentle means that you don't educate?
Yeah.
If you allow a tree to grow whatever it wants to grow, it's going to grow all over the places, and it's going to take out of the fruit that it's going to give. So that's why people prune. That's why people take care of the tree in a certain way, so it can grow in a certain way, so it can grow to reach the height that it needs to reach, that the plant is healthy, and so on and so forth. Tarbiyah is necessary. Tarbiyah, and the Prophet said, "Ma nahala." The best thing that a person could give to their children is a good tarbiyah, is a good education. Education here is spiritual, intellectual, and so overall comprehensive. The Prophet ﷺ told us, to the man who came to him, he told him, is this your son? He said, yes, O Prophet of Allah, he's my son. He said, La yajni alayka wa la tajni alayhi. Don't transgress against him, so he won't transgress against you. And we look in the Quran, and we see that there are you do your best, and you give your best, and your best in here means that one has to learn, one has to adjust. Learning how the Prophet ﷺ had done it, and learning from the modern ways of doing things, because there is tremendous amount of khair and goodness and wisdom in there, but it has to conform to what we have. It has to be the asl is what we have, and then whatever fits into it from that which we can get from the modern wisdom, whether it's in the experience of the human being, whatever they are, we have to benefit from that. So we look and we do our best. So the first is that we are custodians of their fitrah. The fitrah has to be taken care in consideration from very early on, right? Early on, taken care of from the initiatory stages of marriage. The Prophet Sayyidina Umar told the man who came to him complaining about his son, he said complaining about his son, that his son is disobeying him and he's beating him. So Sayyidina Umar had a stick, and he wants to get to the kid. He wants to get to the young man, start beating him, and the young man said, oh Umar, you gotta listen to me first. This man, who is my father, he had transgressed against me first. He disobeyed me first. Like, how so? He said he married a woman who is not good. She left me when I was a baby. So this is where parenting starts from. The parenting start from right there, from that choices that we make. That had to be, what are we prioritizing? What's important, right? What are we building this house upon? And then creating an environment from there. Creating an environment in the house where the kids are going to grow. Creating an environment of ubudiyya, prioritizing that which is important. Doing the thing that we have to do. They see us pray. They see us doing our dhikr. They see us prioritizing the Prophet ﷺ. They see us reading the Quran. They see us, our eyes tear when we remember the Prophet ﷺ. They see us, all of this. They see that the environment, they see us, how they interact with each other with respect, with love and care, and all of that and so on. So all of that, before we say, all of that is creating an environment for our children. When they grow up, they smell purity, they smell goodness, they smell understanding the necessities of age, allowing a room for them to make mistakes.